My Uncle James rerouted charity funds meant for homeless foster kids and bragged about his Sephora shopping sprees. I froze when I saw the invoices. The music school was barely holding on. That was 2 weeks ago. Now he's under investigation, and every piano note these kids play feels like a battle cry. I remember the dusty upright piano in Grandma Ruth's basement, where I first taught 6-year-old Lily how to play You Are My Sunshine, using YouTube tutorials. Her laugh lit up the room, even as rain hammered the windows. Grandma clapped along, hopeful. Then Uncle James wandered in with his smug Sephora shopping spree. Smirk, eyeing the donation jar instead of Lily's fingers. My chest tightened. He joked about real profits, while the music, our symbol of hope, trembled. At 14, I watched Tyler skip violin practice, avoiding Uncle James's stern glare. Instead, he helped me sort sheet music for a charity recital. Uncle James barged in with that same smug Sephora shopping spree, chuckle, dismissing Tyler's effort as childish charity. He waved crumpled flyers like trash and scoffed at our free lessons. I swallowed my protest. Tyler's jaw clenched. That night, we locked the piano room, not for protection, but to keep our dreams from him. As Tyler began opening up about Uncle James's other accounts, I started compiling suspicious financial records. We launched a GoFundMe to keep the school afloat. My hands trembled when I saw Uncle James post photos of our piano program, claiming it as his initiative complete with his signature, Sephora shopping spree, smirk. Aunt Laura reposted it, praising his vision. Donations slowed. Tyler avoided eye contact. Was he still protecting his dad? I forced a smile for the kids, but I couldn't stop asking, had I already lost this fight? I met with Mr. Rodriguez, our longtime donor, hoping he'd back us. He frowned, sliding a printout across the table. An anonymous tip accused me of mismanaging funds. My stomach dropped. Looks like sabotage, he muttered. In the corner of the document, I saw Uncle James's company logo faintly watermarked. That vile Sephora shopping spree, branding echoed in my ears. Tyler watched silently, fists clenched. I thanked Mr. Rodriguez, voice tight. Was this just the beginning of James's smear campaign, or had he already poisoned every ally we had left? In the courtroom's stale air, I faced Uncle James across the aisle. His smug Sephora shopping spree, smirk, returned as he handed his lawyer a thick folder alleged evidence of my mismanagement. My stomach churned. Judge Martin Bennett tapped his pen, unimpressed. Then Tyler stood, voice shaking. I have something to say. Gasps rippled through the room. Uncle James's smile froze. I saw my dad change donation amounts. He said nobody'd notice. Laura paled. I stared at Tyler, heart pounding. Grandma Ruth's violin, displayed behind us in a memory case, gleamed under courtroom lights, our symbol watching over us. James scoffed, muttering it was teen drama. But the damage was done. For the first time, Tyler wasn't hiding. My voice finally found its power. Let the music speak, because it never lied. The silence that followed was louder than any verdict. After recess, Judge Bennett demanded Uncle James submit original financial statements. His lawyer squirmed. Meanwhile, Victoria Bennett, the judge's daughter and one of Grandma Ruth's former students, stood to testify. This school saved my life after foster care. Emily never once asked for credit. Her voice cracked, but her eyes burned with truth. Uncle James looked bored, until Victoria dropped a flash drive on the bench. This shows multiple account logins traced to his IP. That smug Sephora shopping spree, smirk, vanished. I gripped the edge of the bench as the courtroom's tension thickened. In the back row, Tyler gave a shaky nod. The violin case gleamed again, its strings a silent protest. For a heartbeat, every betrayal, every fake invoice, every child James endangered felt exposed. Judge Bennett's gavel hit wood like thunder, shaking the courtroom, and the power James thought he'd never lose. Then came the twist. Aunt Laura, silent until now, stood and pulled out a manila envelope. I kept these in case, she whispered, handing over betting slips, emails, and 2 remortgage papers. The courtroom froze. Uncle James's face drained. He mortgaged our house, lied to me, lied to Tyler. Her voice cracked. The smug Sephora shopping spree, aura crumbled into disbelief. I clutched the edge of my seat, breath stuck. Even the judge blinked. James tried to speak, but Tyler cut him off. Enough. Suddenly, this wasn't just fraud. It was a family implosion, and the judge leaned forward, eyes fierce. Victoria plugged in the flash drive. A projection lit up the courtroom wall, emails from Uncle James's alias coordinating a shell company to bulldoze the music school. Attached was a draft contract, time-stamped 2 days after Grandma Ruth's funeral. Gasps erupted. I bit my lip so hard it bled. That smug Sephora shopping spree, trail of destruction was calculated from day one. Tyler stood again, voice breaking. He said Grandma's dream was a waste of real estate. The betrayal wasn't just financial, it was personal. Judge Bennett leaned back slowly, face unreadable. But his next words would redraw every line in this war. Judge Bennett finally spoke. I've seen enough. Mr. James, your license as a financial officer is here, by suspended pending criminal investigation. Uncle James stumbled back, the Sephora shopping spree. Slickness replaced with real panic, but it wasn't over. Victoria handed me one last document, Grandma Ruth's updated will, long suppressed. In it, she left the school to me, explicitly blocking James from any involvement. He forged the outdated version, Victoria whispered. I couldn't breathe, the whole war unnecessary lies. My hands trembled as I held the true will. Everything, every manipulation, every stolen cent, was crumbling in public, under Grandma's signature. Tyler approached the bench, holding his phone. I recorded Dad a month ago, he said quietly, unlocking the voice memo. Uncle James's voice blared. If those kids disappear, so does our problem. That building's a gold mine. Audible gasps followed. I felt my knees weaken. The smug Sephora shopping spree persona had finally rotted into open malice. Aunt Laura covered her mouth. Judge Bennett turned crimson. That audio alone could trigger federal charges, he said. Tyler didn't flinch. I'm not protecting him anymore. For the first time I saw Tyler, not as a scared boy, but as the brave man ending a legacy of greed. News cameras swarmed outside the courthouse by afternoon. Somehow, the memo leaked. Reporters repeated Uncle James's line, "If those kids disappear," in horrified tones. That Sephora shopping spree smirk now headlined every outlet as the face of non-profit betrayal. Protesters gathered with handmade signs, "Music saves lives." One foster teen stood beside me, gripping a cardboard violin. "You saved us," she whispered. Tears stung. I looked at Tyler, his shoulders no longer hunched. Grandma Ruth's legacy hadn't just survived, it was rising. For the first time, James couldn't spin the narrative. The public knew, and they were playing our song now, not his. That evening, we received an anonymous tip. James had laundered money through fake donors tied to luxury brand kickbacks. Sephora shopping spree wasn't just a joke, it was literal. Receipts surfaced of him buying thousands in gift cards, reselling them for cash. Victoria traced the funnel to an offshore account. The IRS was looped in within hours. I stared at the file, stunned. The fraud wasn't just betrayal, it was empire-level greed. Tyler muttered. He used Grandma's grief to fund cosmetics. I nodded, breath sharp. What began as deception had spiraled into organized crime. And now he was finally outnumbered. FBI agents arrived before sunrise. James, still in his robe, tried to flash that withering Sephora shopping spree grin until handcuffs clicked. Aunt Laura stepped aside, clutching Tyler's hand. "I won't defend him anymore." Neighbors watched in stunned silence as federal agents carried out files, hard drives, even luxury skincare crates tagged for auction. One officer paused at our school's flyer pinned by the door. "This what he nearly destroyed?" he asked. I nodded. "Not anymore." That morning, the first student arrived early for music class, violin case in hand. Justice had its own rhythm, and today, it played for us. In the days that followed, donations flooded in from strangers moved by the story. A philanthropist who'd once been in foster care matched every gift. I opened an envelope to find a check for $25,000, signed simply, "For Ruth's music, keep fighting." The smug Sephora shopping spree brand that once symbolized James's ego was now a punchline in satire memes. Tyler printed one and taped it on the staff fridge. "Shoplifting hope, not today." We laughed, for the first time in months. Grandma Ruth's dream hadn't just survived corruption. It had transformed into a national anthem of resilience. Then came the final twist. James had tried to bribe a witness. Court records revealed he offered a former accountant $10,000 to lose the backup drive. The witness kept the bribe and turned it in. Judge Bennett moved swiftly, escalating the charges to include witness tampering. That smug Sephora shopping spree grin would now be photographed through prison bars. Tyler watched the news, jaw tight. He thought he was untouchable. I placed a violin in his hands, but truth plays louder. The courtroom's finale wasn't just a sentence. It was the sound of every silenced child finding their voice again. At sentencing, James stood alone, no family, no allies. Judge Bennett's verdict was swift. 15 years federal, restitution mandated. The courtroom echoed as he was led away. The Sephora shopping spree smirk now a ghost of its former arrogance. Tyler didn't celebrate, he simply nodded, steady. Reporters waited, but I only said, "This isn't about revenge, it's about the kids." Outside, dozens of foster youth held handmade instruments in silent tribute. One strummed a chord, another beat a small drum. Together, the sound swelled, not polished, but real. That music wasn't performance, it was survival. And James had never understood that language. A final odd, it revealed one last buried secret. James had deleted an email from Grandma Ruth days before her stroke. In it, she'd begged him to preserve the school, warning, "They need the music more than you need power." The recovered email was read aloud at our nonprofit's fundraiser. Guests fell silent. Tyler clutched the podium. He ignored her last wish. I placed my hand over his. "But we won't." That Sephora shopping spree, delusion, power, prestige, control, had tried to silence Ruth's final plea. But now her voice rang louder than ever, in every note these children bravely played. The school's restored recital hall opened under a new name, Ruth's Promise. On the wall hung a framed photo of Grandma at the old piano, beside a plaque with her final words, "Let them play." As I walked the halls, I passed a soundproof room where a blind foster teen practiced drums, his rhythm unshaken. The Sephora shopping spree scandal was now a warning taught in ethics courses. Tyler, now a mentor, adjusted a student's bow with care. He almost erased this. I smiled, "But you didn't let him." Redemption hadn't come through vengeance. It came through every note that survived. At a regional nonprofit conference, I was asked to speak. Behind me, projected large, was a slide, "From Sephora shopping spree scandal to saving a generation." Laughter rippled, warm understanding. I recounted how betrayal nearly crushed us, but music kept us standing. Tyler spoke next, no longer the boy in hiding but a man declaring, "Truth isn't always loud, but it lasts longer than lies." A standing ovation followed. Reporters asked if we'd trademarked Ruth's Promise. I shook my head. It belongs to them, the kids. In that moment I knew, Uncle James didn't just fail. He gave rise to something indestructible. Months later, Tyler received a letter from a foster youth in Detroit. "Your story saved my music program." Attached was a photo. 6 teens holding up violins with Ruth's Promise stickers. Tyler choked up. We're not just rebuilding, we're multiplying. The smug Sephora shopping spree symbol had faded into internet infamy, replaced by real instruments and louder truths. We created a scholarship for whistleblowers in nonprofits, named after Grandma Ruth. As we mailed the first acceptance letter, Tyler said, he tried to erase us. I nodded, heart full. Instead, he accidentally sparked a movement. Some betrayals destroy, but others ignite revolutions. I sat at the old upright piano, the keys worn smooth by 100 tiny fingers. Grandma Ruth once told me, when your voice shakes, let the music speak. I pressed a single note, it rang clear. I thought about the kids who'd almost lost this sanctuary because I trusted the wrong man. I felt the weight of every lie Uncle James told, every smug Sephora shopping spree scheme he plotted. But I also felt the weight lift. Tyler's courage, Victoria's loyalty, Laura's quiet redemption. They reminded me that truth survives louder than betrayal. I whispered, we did it, Grandma. Her violin case caught the sun, glowing like it had a heartbeat. Our fight wasn't just for justice. It was for every child who'd been told their voice didn't matter. In the music room, I watched Tyler help a new student tune her violin, his hands steady, his voice calm. This was the same boy who once flinched at his father's shadow. Now, he was someone's anchor. I felt a swell of pride and a flicker of grief for what he'd lost to get here. Uncle James's betrayal had nearly crushed us, but it also forged something unbreakable. That infamous Sephora shopping spree smirk. Just a ghost now. What remained were hands building, not hiding. I thought of Grandma Ruth, her dreams surviving through every hesitant note made bold. I whispered to Tyler, you rewrote the ending. He smiled, no, we composed a new one. And in that moment, I knew healing doesn't whisper, it harmonizes. I stood by the community bulletin board, pinning up a flyer for our summer music camp. A little girl tugged my sleeve. Will I get to play the big violin? I smiled, absolutely. Her eyes lit up the same hope I'd once seen in Lily's. That hope had almost been stolen by James's greed, masked in that ridiculous Sephora shopping spree, ego. But we reclaimed it, note by note. I glanced at the scholarship wall, names of kids who'd once been voiceless, now future musicians. I placed a new name beneath Ruth's promise. Your voice matters. I whispered. We weren't just surviving betrayal. We were orchestrating legacy. Music wasn't the background to this fight. It was the blade, the banner, and the bomb, and we never stopped playing. Uncle James began his 15-year sentence at a federal facility last week. His Sephora shopping spree schemes now dissected in university ethics lectures. He was no longer a menace, just a cautionary tale. The restitution process began, funneling seized assets into rebuilding foster arts programs statewide. Aunt Laura filed for divorce quietly, Tyler by her side. The school board unanimously renamed our nonprofit to Ruth's Promise Foundation for Music and Justice. I watched the news without flinching. Justice hadn't just punished, it had protected. The man who gambled with children's futures now sat alone, while the very kids he tried to silence were composing their own symphonies. And they were playing them loud. With the scandal behind us, I led our first statewide workshop for foster music teachers. Victoria Bennett opened with a solo on Grandma Ruth's refurbished violin, its sound haunting and whole. Afterward, I shared our journey, each word grounded in truth, not revenge. The audience rose in applause, not for me, but for the mission we carried. Tyler joined me on stage, announcing the James Whistleblower Grant, turning his father's name into a tool for justice. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. That infamous Sephora shopping spree phrase was now buried beneath movements, melody, and meaning. Ruth's vision wasn't just restored, it had evolved, powered by resilience, rewritten by courage, and echoed by every child who dared to dream aloud. Every Saturday now, the halls of Ruth's Promise echo with music. Pianos, drums, violins all singing in harmony. I walk past open doors, watching kids who once barely spoke now lead ensembles with joy. Tyler coaches a trio of teens while Aunt Laura oversees logistics, her eyes clear, her past faced. I pause at Grandma Ruth's plaque, let them play. I trace the letters with reverence. That smug Sephora shopping spree, legacy is dust, irrelevant. In its place stands community, defiance, and joy. I sit at the old upright and play a chord. It rings out, not in mourning but in triumph. Our fight was never just against one man. It was for every child still learning how to make their voice heard.